and welcome to Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I'm Laura Cotter.
And I'm Sky Orchard.
And I almost blacked out on what our intro was.
I could tell it was a different cadence than normal.
It was a different cadence. A little bit tired. Oh, I have an update on the rifling versus riffling.
Ooh.
From a couple episodes ago. So I'm listening to more books in the same series. And I looked it up because they keep saying riffling. And I'm like, this is driving me insane. I have to believe that professional voice actors, readers, whatever you call these people, like they have to know how to pronounce things. They're two different things.
Oh.
Rifling is to look like quickly and chaotically through something. Riffling is like when you like thumb through the pages of a book. Like it's more casual and it's just like a quick glance.
I'm sorry, but that just sounds like someone tried to make an excuse for why they mispronounced something.
There are two different things. They mean kind of opposite things. One is like a frantic, chaotic search, and one is kind of like a calm, casual search. Two different things. I also learned I've been saying coup de grace wrong. In my brain, you don't say this. It's French, and you don't say half the letters. I can say that because I'm wearing a beret right now. I always thought it was coup de grace.
Mm-hmm.
These voice actors, they say it coup de grace, which
Ooh.
annoys me. So I also looked up that pronunciation because it's like, maybe I'm wrong too about this one. It is like a coup de grace. You do this, but it's a ah instead of an ah.
They just suddenly become very southern for a moment. Coup de grace.
Well, I think it's kind of like, you know how some British people say taco?
I
think it's along those lines. Which sounds like the way a Southern person would say taco.
Seeing some connections here.
Isn't like the Appalachian accent is like close to Elizabethan English anyway, or something like that?
I don't know if I'd heard that.
One of those Southern accents is like closer to how they used to pronounce Renaissance English time. They weren't always so fancy over there in the UK. All right. This was a hard one to come up with a question for, mostly because I'm just not feeling this episode, and we'll get into that later. My question currently in the notes is just art movements? ? Because we learn about Cubism and we get some Picasso references and Van Gogh reference in this one. So, thoughts on art, Sky?
Obviously I'm close to the arts world in many, many ways there.
You are.
I am. My thoughts on art, that is a tough one. So instead I'll say I'm part of an AI steering committee, which...
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were debating acceptable use of AI because that's a hot topic, especially being with an arts organization. And one of my peers said, well, I think we have to define what art is first. And I think we all just stared and was like,
No.
No, we do not define what art is. No. Art is different to every person. So that just makes me laugh when I hear. What are your thoughts on art?
To quote a Supreme Court justice, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it.
Love it. So yeah, that was a fun moment in that AI steering committee. I about lost it.
What's the direction you're steering in, if you can divulge that?
There are different mindsets amongst things. I think we are at a point personal views here, where we have adopted some AI tool sets, and we, at this point in time, should not look at adopting anymore that aren't necessary. Things are available for the staff if they want to use them. They've had training on them. Some of them need to be retrained because they're not using it appropriately per our standards we wrote up there. But until there's major changes within the AI world, especially from an environmental standpoint, I do not feel comfortable advocating for the usage of more AI tool sets when we are literally killing the planet. We're in a official drought or water shortage there.
To be fair, we've been in a drought for 40 years. So, same old, same old.
Our country just did terrible damage to the Middle East. That's going to have worldwide impacts to our climate.
That's fair.
Anyways, so that's my thoughts on AI.
I also feel like AI has become a catchphrase for things that are maybe not AI. I feel like they say some things are AI, and I'm like, no, that's spell check. Yeah, that's not really AI.
It's scary how many people have become reliant on it
Oh,
because the bubble is going to burst. It is unsustainable. And when that bubble bursts, sooner rather than later, a lot of people are going to be struggling. But the good thing about this, future bursting of the bubble, let's see how many times I can talk about the bubble bursting, is it's an opportunity to rebuild and rethink of like the proper uses of AI versus sort of this very wrong way some people have taken AI and like how we efficiently run these data centers without killing the environment.
AI to find cancer drugs? A plus.
AI for military usage? Hell no.
I was going to say AI is your girlfriend? F minus. Although I will say, I was reading a Reddit post today, and this woman's like, I found out my husband was cheating on me with 8 AI girlfriends.
Oh, gosh.
And someone made the very, very nice point that, these people are taking themselves out of the gene pool. So
that they are. Back to art.
Art!
I will just say I wish Salem, instead of doing his, cubism and whatnot, I think it would have been a blast if he drew like the poorly drawn medieval cats. Like, I love that subsection of medieval art where it's like, have you ever seen a cat? We're not sure.
And they have, because there were cats living at that monastery.
Yeah. So I think it would have been a blast for Salem to do his take on that.
Do you think they named their cats like, oh, there's Father Bartholomew?
Bartholomew.
Do you think they gave them like cat pun names?
Like I hope so.
Catholic? All cats are definitely Catholic. Well, art. I don't know a lot about art. So I worked at a museum that was heavily art focused, and I learned a lot in my time there. And our art educator was extremely patient with me, not understanding anything about art, and taught me a lot, and was very patient with me butchering art Nouveau. I can't even say it. Nouveau. I want to say art Nauvoo every single time, and that's not it. And it makes me so sad because it actually is my favorite art movement, and I can't say it.
Is your mind riffling through the pronunciations, you could say?
Art Nouveau is my favorite time period. And I actually went down to UVU, their art museum, because they had an Alphonse Mucha exhibit that just ended 2 weekends ago. And I just literally found out about it like a week before. And it happened to fall on the night that I had scheduled for my solo self date. Because I do that every once in a while, and I take myself on dates. And so I drove all the way down to UVU, and it was amazing, but I don't have any pictures of it because it was a private collection, and they banned us from bringing in our phones, even though other people did, but I'm a rule follower, so I didn't take out my phone, but it was super cool. And then because he was such a prolific artist, you can buy Alphonse Mucha stuff. That's not super expensive. It's like $100-something, like for some of his less high quality prints. So I'm seriously considering getting one.
You should. Treat yourself. Treat yourself.
Right now, the fanciest thing I have framed on a wall is a signed copy of Learn to Let Go by Kesha. Kesha is going to have some Art Nouveau friends.
Amazing.
All right, let's get into this episode. I have delayed it as long as I could. It is Season 3, Episode 12. Whose so-called life is it anyway? TV guide description. Sabrina gives Valerie's family a wishbone wish despite warnings from the Witches' Council. And Google has underlined that because it doesn't like how that is phrased. Our streaming is Sabrina's charitable magic turns out to be anything but a good deed.
I just had a quick side note because we mentioned Wishbone in the TV guide description, and it reminded me of the classic 90s show Wishbone. Can you imagine if we had a Wishbone crossover where it's just Salem and Wishbone going and running amok in some literary classic there? And Wishbone did end in 97. It was only 2 years, which is crazy.
Really?
95
They did a lot of
97.
episodes in those 2 years then.
Yeah, a lot. Like, for such a short show, like, that influenced my life a lot. But anyways, I now wish we had an alternate reality where that actually did occur and we had a Salem and Wishbone crossover.
I've been reading the new translation of the Odyssey, the first English female translation of it. Mm-hmm. And the whole time I'm reading it, I'm just thinking about the Wishbone episode.
It's a good one.
What's the story, Wishbone? All right. This originally aired January 8th, 1999. Linda Day returns as our director. Charlie Trisick returns as our writer. Guest stars. First up is Daniel Hagen as Mr. Burkhead from Seinfeld, The Informant, and CIS, Buffy. And he did a lot of voice acting, especially for Skylanders. Myra Turley as Mrs. Burkhead. She has some big credits, including Meet the Fockers, The Big Sick, Arrested Development, and Lady Bird. Justin John Ross as Warren from Little Giants, Recess, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, and also Buffy. Did you hear the Buffy news, by the way?
Yeah, I did.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Mourning with you. Not as much as you, but...
We can get reboots of shitty shows, but Buffy gets canceled because of male producer not liking it. The patriarchy. It's fine.
We have Robert Lee Jacobs as Brock from Ally McBeal, Frasier, The Nanny, and Sherman Oak. Michael Albala as the delivery guy from The Mindy Project, This Is Us, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and Grey's Anatomy. Marika Castile as student number 1 from Steve Jobs, Party of Five, and Saved by the Bell, The New Class. And Joe Eric Mercado as student number 2 from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Beverly Hills Ninja, and Crouching Waiter, Hidden Chef. What are your overall thoughts, Guy?
I didn't mind this one. I think we got some more insight into how and why Valerie is the way she is. And so I liked that at the start. I liked the B storyline again, like we talked about there. Once Valerie started acting like Sabrina, I didn't necessarily I was engaged with it, but I didn't necessarily like the direction, I guess, she was given on how to act like Sabrina, if that makes sense. But still liked the episode overall.
I feel like Valerie's depiction of Sabrina is slightly more accurate than Libby's depiction of Sabrina when Libby and Sabrina swap personalities.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because at least Valerie was still a little snarky as Valerie Sabrina. Libby was pure sunshine and rainbows.
That's true.
So I feel like Valerie's a little more on. Yes, it was interesting-ish to meet her family. I am just very, very tired of, we have had development of Valerie. We know she's on the cheerleading squad now. I know it's second string, but she's still on the cheerleading squad. We had her take second place or third place at the science fair. We've had Valerie getting accomplishments, and it feels like 5 steps back to be like, oh, this is Valerie. Her whole personality is that she's a loser. She's had growth. Let the girl have growth. Let her have some self-esteem.
So I guess how would you feel if this episode had occurred pre-cheerleader pom-pom incident or pre-science fair or anything like that? Would you like it more getting to know her and then she gets her accomplishments and it doesn't diminish those accomplishments?
Maybe. I feel like we're just being hit over the head with, oh, this is Valerie. She's a wet blanket. Oh, this is Valerie. She's always messing things up. I also was thinking, would I like this better if it was Jenny who became Sabrina?
Rest in peace, Jenny.
I know, rest in peace, Jenny. I think it would be funny to have such a strong personality like Jenny morph into Sabrina. It's funnier when Libby becomes Sabrina-like because it's not a step up necessarily. It's just a difference.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're portraying Sabrina as oh, this is a step up in personality. It could just be because it's a Valerie heavy episode and that bums me out.
What? You don't like Valerie, Laura?
Also, for her parents, for her mother, to wish her to be different when she is a product of her parenting, that was kind of hurtful.
Okay, but some parents just have their heads in the sand.
I am aware. There are terrible parents. We've all, as a friend group, have heard stories. I'm a little peeved with Valerie's mom.
Mrs. Burkhead.
Mrs. Burkhead. She doesn't even get a first name. Well, let's get into it. We start off with Salem painting in the living room. He needed a creative outlet after no one read his screenplay. What do you think his screenplay was about?
Probably world domination.
I was thinking a World War I, World War II, really heavy, dense movie.
Yeah.
Sabrina admires the cubist painting. Salem compliments his model, who happens to be Hilda with her face rearranged. Our outfit intro. Was it me or were you also confused by this one?
I accidentally hit skip.
Okay.
And so I just saw the very end of the weird brown suit and watch the video.
But the brown suit was weird, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it's supposed to be a flight attendant, but it looks like she's wearing an old-timey movie theater usher outfit. And she says, for your safety, please watch the following video. Because if she's supposed to be a flight attendant, I feel like they would put her in like a Pan Am uniform, not a brown suit with pants.
And the hat. It was a very old-timey theater usher. Yeah.
Zelda is reading a magazine, Enchanted by.
Salem says, you can read a magazine, but you didn't have time to read my screenplay. Zelda says, I got through volumes 1 and 2, but then it seemed to drift.
I'm betting it's a French Revolution.
Ooh.
You know how like Les Mis has a weird couple hundred pages that just like goes off course?
We spend how many chapters down in those sewers? Too many.
That's what I'm betting. I'm betting it's French Revolution. Hilda comes in to brag about the new guy she's dating. Good for Hilda. I am glad that we are past the I'm upset about Mr. Kraft part for now.
And she's finally leaving the house again, sort of.
Yeah, good for her. She's got a life. She's not sitting in her pajamas eating cereal in the middle of the day. Sabrina gets ready for school, and Zelda tells her to read an article about refraining from charitable magic. Hilda keeps piping up about her man. Zelda tells Sabrina that charitable magic can be disastrous by removing obstacles that help people grow, like the witch that got rid of her friend's acne, and now her friend will no longer go on to discover the cure. Salem asks for his food to be put in a crystal bowl, and Sabrina gladly zaps it.
Salem says, do you mind terribly if I ask for that in a crystal bowl? As an artist, I'm sensitive about these things.
Zelda tells Sabrina that was charitable magic.
Oh, come on. Salem's not going to accomplish anything in his life. Salem says, hey, I'm still way ahead of half the Kennedy children.
And I'm pretty sure one of the Kennedy children they're referring to is RFK Jr.
Yep, 100%.
Given the time period. Like R.I.P. JFK Jr.
Yeah.
The wrong cousin was in that plane.
Also, his little artist outfit.
Yes, he wears his outfit throughout this whole thing. That little kitty actor has on that beret the whole time.
It was great.
Harvey is struggling to open his locker. Sabrina knows she shouldn't, but magically helps him out. Harvey goes flying backwards as the locker opens. What do we think the repercussions for Harvey are in this situation?
He can probably never actually help anyone open like a pickle jar or anything else in his life ever again. His upper arm strength, gone.
I think he would learn how to pick locks.
Ooh.
And go on to be like the greatest jewel thief of all time.
Gosh, Sabrina.
No hope diamond for you when he proposes. Valerie grabs Sabrina to ask her something while Libby insults Valerie's hair.
If it's about your hair, yes, it does look like a woodland creature's home.
Sabrina loudly talks about Libby's lice problem.
I mean, you should be charging those little fellows rent.
It's funny. Libby leaves and Valerie continues her question, asking Sabrina to come over for dinner. It's charades night. Sabrina agrees. Do you like charades or you like to feel fancy and say charade?
Charades. I'm not fancy. I'm from Idaho.
You can be fancy in Idaho sometimes. Wear your fancy outfit to the hoedown.
Do some Cotton Eye Joe in a tuxedo.
Shine up your cowboy boots.
The belt buckles.
Serve your potatoes on a gold plate. Salem sits on the couch, surrounded by paintings, wondering how to make money off them.
I know. All I need is a human. As he sees Hilda. Close enough.
Hilda comes in and he asks her to take the paintings down to the gallery. Hilda says no. Besides, they won't take paintings by a cat. Salem tells her to claim them as hers, but Hilda doesn't like his paintings. Just then, Brock, Hilda's date, arrives. He's impressed by the paintings, and Hilda immediately takes credit. Sabrina sits at the table with Valerie's weird family. And a side note on Valerie's family, it is set up a lot like Clarissa's family in Clarissa Explains It All, which Melissa Joan Hart starred in. So like Clarissa, Valerie's mom is a health food maniac, her dad is an architect, and she has an annoying younger brother. Valerie's father is a safety inspector, but it's close to architect. Valerie's father explains what he does as a safety inspector.
Being a safety inspector boils down to this. People pay me to do their worrying for them.
I like following safety inspectors, home inspectors on Instagram, especially the one that has the little pointy finger on the stick. And they just go around tapping at all the things that are wrong in the new build houses.
Tap, tap, tap.
And then I look around at my house and I'm like, oh no. Valerie's brother puts on a helmet that he wears in the car. And Valerie's mom serves beets since she's a nutritionist.
Valerie whispers, I never said being my friend would be easy.
Sabrina zaps the beets to Salem's paint palette, and he eats them.
What a beautiful shade of red. I could use that color to create a masterpiece. Nah, I'll just eat it.
Sabrina watches awkwardly as Mrs. Burkhead watches Valerie's brother and counts how many times he chews before he's allowed to swallow. Sabrina tries to get the parents to break a wishbone and make a wish, but they're not the whimsical sort. She pushes and they agree.
Well, all right then, but everyone shield your eyes. There may be bone shards, Mr. Burkhead says.
Sabrina knows that it's charity, but still casts a spell that causes the winning wish to come true.
Their lives are so dry. Here's what we'll do. Take whatever they wish and make it come true.
I know it is a classic trope of teen sitcoms for them to do the exact opposite of whatever their parental unit says. But boy, if this isn't like the 7th storyline we've gotten exactly like this in this season alone.
What? You mean Sabrina doesn't listen?
Do you think she would learn after the pancake addiction?
She learned about pancakes. She didn't learn about charitable magic, Laura.
She has to learn every iteration of following what people say.
Exactly.
I know it's a teenage thing. I know it's a trope for a reason, but I wish she would just they'd be like, yeah, go ahead and cast that spell. And she would screw it up somehow, like other ways of messing up the magic. Mrs. Burkhead snaps the bigger piece. Valerie serves rhubarb pie that Sabrina zaps to Salem again. He insults it, then eats it anyway.
It smells terrible. Bad colors. I don't like the look of, I won't eat this. I refuse to eat. And then I like the screen directions that say, chomp, munch, gobble, with exclamation point. Also, I imagine a rhubarb pie would just be like a rhubarb crisp, which is a very popular dessert.
It's a very common thing. My thought was, because I actually just saw this come up on my social media, there's an episode of Modern Family where Alex moves out or something, and how they all just break down and everything goes to chaos without her around. And Phil, and I can't remember the little brother's name, but they harvested some rhubarb and they made a rhbarb pie out of it, and they're showing her and they're like, look, we did this without you, and everybody take a bite. And they're all starting to eat it, and she was like, did you take off the leaves? And they're like, no, why? She's like, you're gonna die, that's very poisonous. Maybe there were rhubarb leaves in the pie.
Maybe. And Salem just eats so much crap that he's immune to poison.
I think so. I think that cat has a liver of steel. Although we've discovered he can't process alcohol, but everything else is fair game. The Burkheads and Sabrina are playing charades. Sabrina guesses correctly again for a score of 18-2.
Her guess is the effect of gamma rays on Man in the Moon marigolds, which is a long title for a 1972 film by Paul Newman. IMDb's description is middle-aged misfit Beatrice Hunsdorfer struggles to raise her 2 daughters, popular epileptic Ruth and promising science student Matilda. And then I liked this snippet from Wikipedia, where Matilda's science experiment is designed to show how small amounts of gamma radiation from cobalt-60 affect marigolds. Some die, but others transform into strange but beautiful mutations, completely unlike the original plants. Similarly, Matilda has managed to muddle through a grim existence in a dilapidated, debris-ridden house in a lower-middle-class neighborhood, learning to deal with her embarrassing mother while managing to avoid becoming anything like her, a future for which her sister seems fated. And I included that Wikipedia portion because this Chicago Sun-Times review made me laugh, where they said, the film is hard-edged enough to be less depressing than it sounds.
It sounds pretty depressing. Sabrina tries to excuse herself as she is really tired and thanks them for dinner.
Well, I really better get going. I'm really tired and no wonder it's 8:15. Valerie says, this is the latest anyone has ever stayed, including blood relatives. Thank you.
And then Valerie says you should get out because she's going to give you the recipe for the lima bean loaf. And we've established the mother's a health nut. Where did the wishbone come from?
You know, that is a great...
Was there a turkey on that table?
I do not think there was a turkey.
Was it a tofurkey? Was it a tofu bone?
I mean, it snapped like a normal bone, right?
What was that bone?
Could have come from an extinct theropod dinosaur, which also had a wishbone and not just modern birds.
You know those theropods. They're real low in fat.
They really are very healthy.
And it was big. It was the size of a turkey wishbone. So I don't think it could be like a chicken.
Yeah, or a duck.
Or anything small like that. It had to be a big bird. I don't know where that wishbone came from. Maybe it's their decorative wishbone, and Sabrina made them break it. Mrs. Burkhead walks Sabrina out and tells her that she wished for Valerie to be happier like Sabrina. Now, that phrasing I don't mind. I think that is fair phrasing to be like, I recognize that my daughter is very hard on herself. She has low self-esteem. I want for her to be happier. That is good phrasing. What we find out it actually is problematic. Hilda tells Salem that the gallery bought all of the paintings and they want to have an exhibition of the work. Then she tries to tell Salem about her date, but he's not interested. He asks for the money, which Hilda got in all singles as he requested. He rolls around on the money.
And amazing kitty actor, roses and orchids. So cute. Rolling around in those ones.
I have Mabel bucks. I wonder if I put catnip on some Mabel bucks, if Mabel will roll around on them.
Ooh, do it for the pod. Mabel.
I'll try it for the gram. Valerie greets Sabrina at school, happier and feeling different.
For the first time in years, I didn't have my naked in the Superdome dream.
This girl needs psychotherapy. Libby comes by to insult them. Sabrina starts a comeback that Valerie finishes.
Sabrina says, Libby, you better run along. Aren't you late for your... And then Valerie says, Future Bitter Divorcees of America meeting? To which Libby replies, my worst nightmare. Freaks in Sense-Around. Which Sense-Around was a pioneering 1970s cinema audio technology developed by Universal Studios and Serwin Vega that used massive subwoofers to produce intense, low-frequency sound waves, exceeding 120 decibels. Designed to make audiences feel vibrations, it debuted in the 1974 film Earthquake. It was famously used for Midway, Roller Coaster, and Battlestar Galactica, but was discontinued due to complaints about structural damage and excessive noise.
You know, when I had my self-date night the other night, because I went to the museum and then I drove the 45 minutes back up here, and then I took myself to the Olive Garden, where I heard a man call gnocchi Geneshi, which is why I go to the Olive Garden, because I love people watching at the Olive Garden. It is the best thing in the entire world. And then I went home and I was like, oh, maybe I'll go to a movie. But there was like some Formula One race stuff and there was some gymnastics stuff. So I ended up staying home and watching Zootopia 2 at home. But I was looking at going to see Hoppers and they have 4D seats. And they're like, oh, the seats now move. I'm like, in a Disney? What are we moving around for Hoppers? What's that about? I don't think every movie needs to have that much interaction in it.
You just feel like you're hopping along.
Did you ever do the one at Disneyland? They don't have it was like the Bugs Life one.
Mm-hmm.
And like when they poke you in the back.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm okay with my interactions staying on the screen.
You want those 2D?
I know people are like, oh, but like, what if we could smell? I'm okay. I don't need to be that immersed.
I will say soaring over California. Though,
well, yes.
As far as a 4D. That citrus grove smell.
And like pine and like ocean. And I don't want to smell a lot of the movies I watch. I will say the cooking scenes in The Bear, I would be happy to smell some of those because they look gorgeous. And I bet they smell gorgeous too. That's it. Valerie and Sabrina have insulted Libby. Sabrina laughs and is happy with her spell. And I typed, dun dun dun. We know what's coming. Mrs. Quick is reading a math problem out loud. Sabrina starts to answer it, but Valerie interrupts and gives the correct answer. Mrs. Quick is surprised.
Why, Valerie, that's another one right. Either you've been studying or... And then she asks Sabrina, have I been mouthing the answers again?
And Sabrina says, no, Valerie is just becoming more like a person that's good at math. Sabrina tries to ask Harvey if he noticed any changes with Valerie. He just says she seems happier and more relaxed, like Sabrina. Sabrina tries to clarify that he doesn't think Valerie is becoming her, but Harvey just laughs it off and is like, guys don't think about these things. And as they exit the library, it's a terrible looking library.
It's not the same library set we've seen before, right?
They changed it, like, because the library set we've seen before has like multiple bookshelves. This was a wall with one bookshelf. And I know it's also partly in the angle we're looking at, but it was bad.
It's all those book bans.
As they exit the library, Valerie rushes past. Sabrina tries to grab her, but Valerie is in a hurry to go help tutor Spanish. That's what Sabrina does, and she asks when Valerie learned Spanish. But Valerie, yo no sé, doesn't know. They both then start speaking at the same time and continue multiple times. Valerie laughs at how weird it is, then leaves. Sabrina shows up at the Burkhead house and asks Mrs. Burkhead exactly what she wished for. Her wish was, I wish our Valerie could be just like Sabrina. Sabrina starts to worry as Mrs. Burkhead goes to get Valerie.
Try to stay calm. It'd be so unusual for a spell to backfire on me.
And then Valerie shows up wearing the exact same outfit as Sabrina. Do you think her closet magically transformed?
Probably. Just drawn to each outfit each day.
Do you think it's just working on Valerie, or do you think it's working on both of them and guiding both of them to the same choices?
I think it's just Valerie.
So Sabrina has to wake up before Valerie does.
Yes.
Okay. The next day at school, Valerie is wearing the same outfit as Sabrina and has a new short blonde haircut. Sabrina confronts her when Harvey comes up and kisses Valerie on the cheek, mistaking her for Sabrina. Harvey awkwardly tries to cover up, saying he's Italian, and kisses a random guy on both cheeks. Hilda tells Salem that Brock asked her out again.
I'll get in touch with the people at Ripley's.
She thinks he might be the one. It's a totally honest relationship, except she didn't tell him she's a witch. The gallery called and want more paintings, but Salem's style has evolved. He works with found objects and puts them in his art.
Objects such as old bicycle inner tubes, seashells, and bio-waste.
Cool. Where is he sourcing this stuff? Who's selling it to this cat? Sabrina is reading the magic book, looking for Wishbone spells, when Salem comes in.
Once again, shout out to that kitty actor who's happily wearing that little artist hat as it climbs on the bed.
But there's paint all over the one page she needs. Salem was using it to clean his brushes.
I heard that Liechtenstein cleaned his with Perrier and $100 bills, and Liechtenstein was a leading figure in the pop art movement.
Those are the dots people, right?
Yes.
Sabrina tells Salem about the wish. He tells her that pretty soon there will be 2 Sabrinas and Valerie will disappear forever. And I figured that then Sabrina would disappear because the universe would try to rectify itself and be like, can't have 2, Sabrina's out.
I figure they'd just sort of glob into one, amoeba style. You eat the twin.
Sabrina asks for help. Salem, unhelpfully, tells her to move and change her name.
I recommend Agnes.
Sabrina realizes that if she acts like the old Valerie, Valerie will also start acting like her old self. Sabrina goes back to school and sits with Valerie at lunch. When did Sabrina go home? I have to believe she's using magic to pop in and out of her house. Otherwise, she's just skipping classes to go home. Sabrina's back at school somehow, and she sits with Valerie at lunch. Sabrina starts to act like she's depressed and anxious.
I just know I'm going to flunk next week's history test. I'm afraid the science club wants to kick me out, and I'm pretty sure I'm the most unpopular girl in school.
But Valerie just says she's going to cheer her up and invites Sabrina to her house again, accidentally saying aunts instead of parents. At dinner, Sabrina is whining about how she won't get into college, and Harvey will break up with her, and Russia is economically unstable. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Valerie reassures her to cheer her up. Mr. and Mrs. Burkhead are even happier. Mr. Burkhead realized how negative he was at work, and Mrs. Burkhead serves a very deep-fried dinner. Even Valerie's brother is going to run with scissors. Sabrina realizes this will be harder than she thought. Hilda returns from the gallery with bad news. The latest painting's bombed, but she still has a date with Brock. Salem tries to reassure himself, then sobs.
Fame, you are a fickle mistress. Well, I still have my art, and that's what's important. I do this because I love painting, not to get rich. Who am I kidding? I just made a down payment on a mail-order bride.
Oh, Salem. Valerie walks down the halls at school, and everyone calls her Sabrina. She's thinking about changing her name to that. But Burkhead doesn't work. Her last name should start with an S. She then asks Harvey out to the slicery. Alone. Sabrina overhears all this and zaps herself into a... Would you say this is more punk rock? More goth? More... It's not emo.
More gothy?
Gothy? Goth rock? Punk goth. Into a goth outfit. Mrs. Quick asks if something is bothering her and says she should talk to someone more mature, like Valerie. Salem sobs while Hilda pets him. She tells him that Vincent van Gogh didn't sell anything in his lifetime, and he was still a great artist. The doorbell rings. It's a delivery man with several funeral wreaths. Hilda takes them, confused. Zelda comes in reading the newspaper. Hilda is in the obituaries. Hilda realizes that Salem must have said she died to make the paintings more valuable. Hilda is shocked. Goth Sabrina sits in a classroom, thinking that the spell can't get any worse. Valerie runs in to tell Sabrina that she has magical powers and zaps a textbook into an ice cream sundae. Then Libby walks down the hall outside the door with bat ears. Sabrina zaps the ice cream so it catches on fire and tells Valerie she doesn't have a handle on her powers. Can witches not see other witches? Or because Valerie's not a real witch, she can't see Sabrina's spellcasting?
Or because Valerie just barely figured out about spellcasting, she doesn't notice or knows to look for.
Also, Valerie's been a witch for like 5 minutes and is already better than Sabrina was on her first day.
Yeah.
All Sabrina could do was pineapples.
Yeah, you don't want to eat Libby with bat ears. The popular girl is not a fruit. Good job, Valerie.
That would have been funnier if she did all the same things Sabrina did when Sabrina first got powers and everything was pineapples. Sabrina is going to take her somewhere safe and rushes her out.
You're not going to turn me over to a bunch of scientists or try to sell me to the government, are you? Sabrina says, of course not. Not right off the bat, anyway.
Bat. But do you think that was a callback to the Libby years, or do you think that was just...
I think the writers were calling back to the Libby years.
I choose to believe. Brock arrives at the house and asks Zelda how Hilda died. Zelda asks for a moment and goes into the kitchen where Hilda and Salem are. Zelda tells Hilda that Brock is here. Hilda forgot they had a date and is about to go out to see him when Zelda stops her. Brock thinks she's dead. She'll tell him she's not. Salem says that he'll know Hilda faked her death to sell paintings, and if she tells him they're not her paintings, he'll know she lied. Hilda angrily sits back down. Zelda goes to gently break the news of Hilda's death. Hilda realizes that she can just say the newspaper made a mistake, and then sits in the kitchen for another 30 seconds for some reason. Brock sobs on Zelda's shoulder when Hilda comes in, proclaiming that she's alive and the newspaper made a mistake. He screams and runs out the door. Hilda doesn't understand. Zelda shows Polaroids of Hilda in a casket she zapped in to give Brock closure.
I'm so pale. You're dead.
That was a real fast funeral, by the way. If she just saw Brock yesterday, died, and they already had the funeral.
Must have been like a very horrific death where it's just like, nope, no viewing, nothing.
There's so little remains. We just package it up. Sabrina hides Valerie in her room. Valerie starts going off about how she's going to have to hide her powers for the rest of her life, and Sabrina has no idea what kind of pressure she'll be under. Sabrina sarcastically agrees. Sabrina, still a goth, joins her aunts in the kitchen as Zelda takes care of some of the funeral flowers and Hilda mopes.
Look, Hilda, Sabrina's going through that charming to assert my independence, I'm making myself as ugly as possible phase.
If that's the kind of look you're into, Sabrina looks attractive.
Yeah.
I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but she doesn't look hideous.
Zelda's being a little snobby.
We know Zelda and Hilda are a little waspy. Sabrina admits she got into trouble with charitable magic. The scene flips, and Sabrina is telling her aunts that Valerie is a witch. First, Hilda tells her to change her clothes. Zelda then says Sabrina has to get Valerie's parents to say exactly, "We're happy Valerie has changed." Sabrina doesn't understand. That's the exact opposite of what she wants them to feel. Zelda, at her wit's end, yells that they know more about this than she does. Sabrina says it shouldn't be hard because they love the new Valerie. I love that Zelda had a little bit of a mental breakdown and was like, would you freaking listen to me for once? Just once. Trust that I know more.
This is the 7th time we've had to help you because you didn't listen to us.
In this repeat of your 17th year.
Not only did we have to go through 2 Halloweens.
The scene flips again and the Burkhead home is in darkness with everyone slumped onto couches. Sabrina doesn't understand. Mr. Burkhead says a bridge he approved sank, and Mrs. Burkhead got fired for recommending lard to a heart patient. Even Warren seems to have been electrocuted. Mr. Burkhead says this all happened because Valerie changed. Sabrina tries to get them to say they're happy she changed, but Mrs. Burkhead is not. Sabrina suggests they play charades and flips on the lights. She starts leading them through the phrase she needs them to say. They get, "We're happy," when Valerie magically appears. "We're happy, Valerie." They're almost there. Valerie takes a deep breath and tells her family that she has magical powers. She zaps her brother, and her mother says, "You changed Warren into a dingo." Sabrina happily exclaims that they said changed, so they said, "We're happy Valerie changed," which is a really big stretch to me and doesn't seem like the sort of thing the Witches' Council would approve of.
The writers were like, oh shoot, we've got to wrap this up. I was expecting a part 2 because it had taken so long without a resolution.
Well, don't you worry, because we're going to magically wrap it up. Magic tings, and Valerie goes back to normal and collapses. Warren also changes back. Mr. Burkhead wonders if he just saw what he thought he saw. Sabrina tells him he was seeing things.
Of course not. It's that crackpot diet of yours. You eat enough pastrami and bear claws, you're gonna start seeing things.
Haven't they been on this diet for like 2 days?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Valerie comes to and asks what happened. They tell her she tried to claim she had magical powers and tried to change Warren into a dingo. She wails that she's a loser and runs off. Mrs. Burkhead rejoices that Valerie is back.
I don't know if I would think I'm a loser. I would think I was having a mental breakdown if I was told that.
I would want a grippy sock vacation at that point.
I think we all would want a grippy sock vacation right now.
I know it's sad, but sometimes I'm like, maybe I'll just get really sick and have to be in the hospital for a week. I'll get like nice drugs and people will feed me and anyway. Yeah, I think it's this part that like ruins the whole episode for me where she says, I'm such a loser. Like if it had been something different, I'd have been like, oh, I think I need to see a therapist or, oh, I've got to stop eating, bear claws or whatever it was. Like if it had been something other than I'm such a loser, when we have spent so many episodes trying to be like, Valerie, you're not. Valerie, you're fine. This line was the nail in the coffin for me.
The rhubarb pie had the leaves after all.
That would have been the perfect thing. Would have been like, oh, I think that rhubarb pie was bad or something. We also have to assume that Libby has been changed back. However, the Burkheads have memory of what has happened. Does Libby also have memory of the bat ears?
I mean, I think Libby has a lot of repressed memories of stuff that's happened.
Libby's also in therapy?
Yes.
Libby cannot say any of this to a therapist because she will absolutely go on a grippy sock vacation.
Imagine Libby trying to say any of that to her mother.
Nope. That woman would kick her out so fast. In our end tag, Sabrina's punishment is to read and chronologically organize all of Zelda's Enchanted By magazines. There will also be a quiz on the contents. Sabrina is unimpressed by this punishment until they walk into the kitchen and see stacks of the magazines everywhere. Zelda has been a subscriber for 375 years. Sabrina whines, but Salem chimes in. He is writing, I will not kill Hilda over and over on a chalkboard. And Sabrina's outfit in the scene is like this little flower pattern turtleneck that is a little bit of a looser fit. And it's just the youngest looking outfit I think I've ever seen her in this series. Like she looked like junior high-ish almost.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice. It was nice to see kind of like a younger, softer, not as on trend. All her outfits are very trendy. All right, it's over with. Sky, what's your new title?
Got some options.
Give them to me.
So, if we wanted to be tongue-in-cheek in this is about a witch and many witches there, we could do an ode to Shakespeare with double, double, toil and trouble. Ha ha ha. Or we could do an invasion of the body snatcher, because Valerie's trying to swap her out. Or if we wanted to be playful and poke at another TGIF show, we could call it You Wish.
No. All right. Well, what's your guess for the family secret, Sky?
Spellman, Horn, Good and Bad, Whip.
And Robert Ely.
Oh gosh, I forgot about him. I'm choosing to ignore him. Hold, please, while my genius comes through. If I could punch you through a Zoom screen, knock your little beret off.
I can knock my own beret off.
I whip my hair back and forth.
Forgot about that song.
I'm gonna go completely out there and say, well, no.
Say it.
I can't do that because Sabrina exists. I'm gonna say that they can't actually successfully date mortals, but Sabrina exists, so it doesn't work.
I mean, her parents' marriage wasn't successful.
That's true.
What do we consider success?
So Sabrina and Harvey are doomed. That's the family secret.
I don't know how Robert Lee plays into that, but okay.
Because men. Patriarchy.
No mortal witch relationship can last longer than the Confederacy.
Love it.
All right. Our next episode is season 3, episode 13. What Price Harvey? What do you think it's about, Sky?
I think that Harvey's gonna get a little bit of an ego or a little bit of an attitude there. And it comes at a cost.
We have an amazing guest star next week. We do get a bit of family secret.
Tossing us a wishbone.
Well, that's our episode. Please like, share, rate, subscribe to this podcast. You can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod. And I have taken to creeping in people's threads whenever they mention Sabrina the Teenage Witch and being like, hey, you want to check out our podcast? You know, like those like creepy guys in old movies that like, hey, we want to buy a watch, and they open their trench coat and it's me on the internet being like, you want to see a podcast?
Would you like to buy a sundial?
Yes. And that's me in my digital trench coat.
Well, if you've joined because of Laura's stalking you, welcome and apologies.
If they're listening in order, they might not hear this one for a bit after they've joined. So anyway, until next time,
stay magical.